All right, so I'll now call this regularly scheduled school board meeting into session. And board members and folks in the audience and superintendent will go down the agenda just as it is listed there before us. Item 2 will be the approval of the agenda, and for me, item 2.1 would be to note any changes to the agenda, and so there are several. Let me read these out aloud. Pertains to the superintendent's human resources recommendations. Deleted item 9.11, employee termination due to the employee retiring effective 12/7/2018. Deleted item 9.12, employee termination. Deleted item 9.12, employee termination. Deleted item 9.13, employee suspension at the request of Mr. Chambers. And so those would be the changes to the agenda. And so, board members, I'm looking for a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll move we approve the agenda as amended.
Motion by Mr. Destin.
A second.
Second by Dr. Kelly. Seeing no further interest in discussion, at this time, let's call the question. All in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. Motion carries 5-0. We are showing no recognitions and no visitors this evening. Section 5 pertains to public comment, and this would be members of the public desiring to address the school board. And we have 2 of those, both of whom have filled out the required MIS form. And so in the order that these cards were given to me, let me first call forward Mr. Raymond Hope. Mr. Hope, I know you're pretty familiar with the rules.
Yes, sir.
But as a formality, I'll ask the school board attorney to go ahead and provide those.
Mr. Hope, you'll have 4 minutes to make your presentation.
Okay. And I have some.
Okay, sure. You can approach.
I'm Raymond Hope. I live at 6071 Highway 4 West in Baker, Florida. At the last board meeting, I had the opportunity to speak with Mr. Chambers about where the school board stood on the best and the brightest as it related to those of us that teach adult students only. After the board meeting, I sent him an email to try to confirm what we had talked about. Have not been able to get a response to the email. So I was just hoping that today we could get some clarification.
So your question then is appropriately addressed to me, and
Okay.
certainly I don't have any knowledge about that. It may be that the superintendent wishes to respond to you this evening, or it may be, superintendent, that you would wish to respond at another time.
I think the answer can be provided.
That's fine.
Okay.
Good day, good evening. I think just like I shared at a previous board member, all adult ed teachers who qualified and all pre-KD teachers who qualified were submitted, and were submitted on December 1. And prior to the change where they gave us the extension, when it was supposed to be November 1, that's when I stated that they would be submitted. I've shared that with Mr. Hope that they would be submitted, and I've shared that with the board that they would be submitted. So December 1st was the deadline, and they were submitted.
And so I might have misunderstood your question, Mr. Hope. I thought you said that you did not get a response.
On the email, I just sent an email trying to confirm the verbal conversation that we had. So I did talk to him verbally. He told me that, and I just was trying to confirm everything in email. So I had it in writing, and I just was not able to get a response to the email.
Well, now you have it in public. Is
Absolutely.
that sufficient?
Absolutely. Another question that I did have in the email was, were the pre-K teachers going to be considered the same as teachers of adult students?
I see. Well, here again, I am unable to answer that because you
Okay.
didn't direct it to me. Mr. Chambers, you want to approach again? I think that's the format we're
I
following.
think you answered it.
I think I just stated that a few moments ago, that yes, the pre-K teachers,
Okay.
teachers who were qualified, that they were submitted as well.
Well, that is outstanding news.
And
Okay.
as Mr. Hope had asked in there, I'll answer this part, and yes, it's all subject to us getting opinions back from the Attorney General's office, which we don't have yet. So if we should get legal opinions back that change it, we obviously would have to make those changes.
Okay. Thank you.
And I
very
know
much.
you knew about that we had
Yes.
submitted to the Attorney General.
Yes, absolutely.
All right,
So-
thank you, Mr.
All
Hope.
right, thank you.
Yes, sir. All right, and so now I have a blue card from Ms. Stephanie McCowan. And Ms. McCowan lives in Navarre, Florida. That would be Santa Rosa County, but I think you told me that you had just moved there.
Yes, sir. About 2 weeks ago. I've been here for about 40
Right,
years.
right,
Grew up
right.
and went to school here.
And I
yes,
know
sir.
when you filled the card out, you had an opportunity to see the guidelines, and I'll do the same thing, though. I'll ask the attorney to give the appropriate guidance regarding comments.
You'll have 4 minutes to make your comments.
Yes, sir. Thank you. First of all, I'd like to introduce myself again to the two new employees on the board. I'm Stephanie McCowan. I've resided here for a very long time. I've been to school in this county and graduated. And back then, I can safely say I thoroughly enjoyed being a part of this county. So I just want to tell you thank you, Okaloosa, for that. I would like to first start off, tell you guys how truly disappointed I am to continue to see the lack of leadership shown by the county school board in any regard of our children's safety. Okaloosa County School Board, how are we going to allow a superintendent that is responsible for over 30,000 students to remain in a position with all these horrific scandals that have come to surface? While I know and understand that the board has no say in Mary Beth Jackson's position, why are all of you as board members not pushing to have the superintendent removed with all proven facts that have come to light? You have one teacher who now serves 7 years in prison for the misconduct that she is portrayed to against Nora Perillo. You have two accessories of this scandal that accepted a plea deal because they both knew what was going on. You have 19 other people who witnessed this poor behavior, and nothing, in my opinion, has been done. In addition, you employ one person who was terminated December 11, 2017 for sexual harassment. And as of November 9th, you rehired this man and reinstated him with back pay in spite of 4 different sexual misconduct allegations. The school board failed to establish a just cause for firing this person. Please ask yourself if you as a parent would want that kind of person with that behavior around your child. A child abuser, accessories to child abuse, and now we learn that a man who preys on women is now working back next to our children in school. As a native of Florida and a resident of Okaloosa County for many years, I've never been more appalled at the actions that have been taking place. These actions have bothered me so much that I have removed my children out of Okaloosa County schools permanently. I have made a complete change for my entire family and left Okaloosa County after 40 years of being a resident. The main reason I moved is because I want better for my children and their education, and I want better for how they are treated. Most people cannot just jump up and move away. Those parents and their children are subjected to the school system, and they don't even have a choice. Okaloosa, we are standing right here in front of you for all of you to open your eyes and truly see what's going on in our schools. Hear our voice. What is it going to take for the state and the school board to finally see that some of the educators and staff are just not honest? Does another child have to go through what Noah Perillo has gone through at whose expense? To conclude, I know when I say this, I'm speaking for many, many parents in this county. We are asking for Mary Beth Jackson to step down from her position as we feel she is not capable of providing honesty, safety, human ethical treatment to the children that attend Okaloosa County schools. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you, Ms. McCowan. And so you've lived here, you were a resident, so I'm
Yes,
sure that you have probably followed the newspaper accounts. And
Also, I know a lot of people as well.
right, but I would say that probably for facts, the newspaper has provided quite a few of those. And the one thing that we do, since I've been on the school board, is that we provide all of our meetings. They're all available to the public at any time to be able to review. And any review of those meetings would show very clearly that the school board has acted, and it's acted decisively regarding particular matters that you spoke to. Now, it may be inappropriately you address your questions to me, but it may be that other board members might wish to comment, and so certainly
Sure.
I wanted to give them an opportunity to
Yes, sir.
respond to what you said. Any other comments, board members? Dr. Kelly?
Well, I will just say that we do hear you, but we also have other entities that we hear as well. And we take special care to do due diligence, not to cause harm when there isn't harm called for. But do know that you're heard, and know also that the board members have a very delineated position and responsibility. And as you spoke to, that responsibility that you're desirous of belongs to the governor. And as you read in the paper in those facts, the fault with the state attorney not finding any fault spoke to that too.
It's okay if I disagree with that, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I'm just
I
pointing out
disagreed with
facts.
the judge's
Yes, ma'am.
order to hire
We-
back the individual.
And many of us
But it
did.
doesn't
so-
matter.
It's truly
It
scary.
doesn't
I
matter.
mean, honestly, my special needs kid I pulled out, and you will not believe the change in behavior that my child is now pursuing with Santa Rosa County.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm not trying to offend anyone here, but you can definitely see in an autistic child the difference in how they are treated in school.
Yes,
Just
I
wanted to bring that. Sorry to
I
interrupt.
believe that climate is very important, and I hear you, and I think
Thank
that-
you. Thank you,
I
Dr.
think
Kelly.
that we're moving forward, and we're doing due diligence to all parties. We have to be fair to everyone. I don't think anyone desired to hurt a child, desired that, but the outcome, no one wanted that either.
Yes, ma'am, I understand that.
We're trying to move forward and move past it and do the best we can.
I really hope so for the sake of all the special needs and all children in this county.
Yes,
It's
ma'am.
very important to me as a parent.
And we
Thank you.
appreciate you, Ms. Cowan. And I'm not going to go through all the different kinds of things that the school board has done.
Of course not.
In relation to this.
Yes, sir.
But those are all a matter of public record. They're on the videos. We've talked about it before, Mr. Bryant. I know in one particular meeting, you enumerated all the different things that we've done, the procedures and the policies that we've put in place. But those are all out there, and folks can see that we've been very active since this first came to us, and we will continue to be diligent.
I
on this
appreciate
particular
that.
matter.
Even though I'm not any longer a native of this county, Okaloosa will always be my home, and I will always advocate in this county.
Thank you, Ms. McCown.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. All right, so that concludes the public comment, and that will now take us to Section 6, Administrative Personnel Appointments. There are none. On Section 7, Committee and Staff Reports, we had those at our lengthy workshop, board members. I know that you'll recall all of those. And so now we come to Consent Agenda. And the first item of business, 8.1, will be to approve the consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I have one item to clarify for the board under
Thank you.
section 8.10. This is a service agreement with the
All right.
Sheriff's Department.
So 8.10, board members, you may want to scroll down to that particular item.
Just to let you know, there were a couple of minor changes made to that agreement since the workshop. The term has been extended out through July so that it matches up with the term of the SRO contract. And also the reference to the background screening, the Sheriff's Department simply wanted reference made to the fact that their sworn law enforcement officers go through a very thorough background screening, and that is probably even more
Right.
detailed than what is required by our hiring. So we made that change to reference that background screening process.
All right. Any questions about that item, board members? Everybody's good with that? Okay. So I'm looking for a motion then to approve the consent agenda.
I'll move we approve the consent agenda.
Motion by Mr. Destin to approve.
I'll second it.
Second by Mrs. Evancheck. Is there any discussion about approving the consent agenda? Seeing none, let's vote. All in favor? Motion carries 5-0. All right, board members, let's scroll on down. Got to go through several items. And we get to Section 9, Superintendent's Human Resources Recommendations. All right, 9.1, Employees on Administrative Leave, presented by Mr. Chambers, Assistant Superintendent. This is an information item only. 9.2, Deferred Retirement Option Program, presented by Mr. Chambers, Assistant Superintendent, Curriculum and Instruction. This also is an information item. 9.3, this is an action item. Revised substitute and temporary employee salary schedule approved for fiscal year 2017-2018, effective January 1, 2019, presented by Ms. Rita Scallon, Chief Financial Officer, and recommended by the Superintendent for approval. Looking for a motion.
I'll move.
Motion by Dr. Kelly.
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Destin. Any discussion?
Other than just a brief comment,
All right, sure.
Chairman. You know, since I've been here, almost going on 6 years now, we've always struggled to pay the substitutes and the other people that are listed here, and I just would make note that Whataburger is paying more than we are in Destin on some of these positions.
Don't tell them.
Yeah, we've got to, sometime in the near future, we need to look at it when we have a little more money.
I know.
But I'll go ahead and vote for it as it is.
All right, sir. Thank you, Mr. Destin.
And I would also comment that this is actually the state of Florida requiring us to raise the minimum wage, which is across the board, not just in public sector, but private sector too. So,
Yes, sir, Mr. Bryan. And I think we all understand that we wish we could provide more. But in any case, we have a motion and a second. And so unless there's any further discussion, let's go ahead and call the question. All in favor? Motion carries 5-0. All right, 9.4. Employee Assistance Program Services, contract between the School Board of Okaloosa County and Pattison Professional Counseling Center for counseling services rendered during the term of the contract, presented by Mr. Marcus Chambers, Assistant Superintendent Curriculum and Instruction, and recommended by the Superintendent for approval. This also is an action item, so I'm looking for a motion.
I'll move we approve 9.4.
Motion by Mr. Destin,
I'll second it.
second by Mr. Bryant. Any discussion? All right, seeing none, let's vote. All in favor? Motion carries 5-0. 9.5, out of field report for the 2018-2019 school year, presented by Ms. Karen Peak, Program Director of Professional Services, and recommended by the Superintendent for approval. Looking for a motion.
Move we approve 9.5.
Motion by Mr. Destin,
I'll second.
second by Dr. Kelly. Any discussion?
Just real
Yes,
quick,
sir, Mr. Bryant.
I see Ms. Peak is in the office, or in the audience tonight. Just wanted to say thank you again to her and her staff for all that they do to keep us informed of where our teachers stand and how their training is going. So thank you, Ms. Peak.
Thank you, Mr.
I
Bryant.
just wanted to say, I'm looking at that report, it appears most of the out of field has to do with ESOL, and that tends to be a consistent because people come in and state of Florida has different rules, right? Yes, ma'am. Yeah, that's what I thought, because I know that tends to be the thing, but I know that they're working on it, and you have a good program where they can get those hours and everything, so that's good. This is very clean. I mean, you know, that's strong when we have that many teachers who are where they need to be and have the credentials. Thank you.
Yeah, I remember that one as a real thorny issue, even when my wife was teaching. The state entered into a settlement on a court case, which brought all this about. And it's, you know, it's something to really struggle with.
Yeah, even long-term teachers, and I can attest to that, had to go back and
Yeah.
take a lot of hours in ESOL. Those have been around a long time and gone through initially, had to go back,
Absolutely.
especially your ELA, you know, language arts teachers, so it's good.
All right, folks. Unless there's any further discussion, then let's go ahead and vote. All in favor? All right, motion carries 5-0. 9.6, cleared certification requirements and issuance of contracts for the 2018-2019 school year, presented by Ms. Karen Peak, Program Director of Professional Services, and recommended by the Superintendent for approval. Looking for a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Destin,
I'll second it.
second by Ms. Ivanchek. Any discussion? All right, seeing none, let's vote. All in favor? Motion carries 5-0. 9.7, personnel recommendations, presented by Mr. Marcus Chambers, Assistant Superintendent, Curriculum and Instruction, and recommended by the Superintendent for approval. Looking for a motion.
I'll move that we approve 9.7.
I'll
Motion by
second.
Mr. Destin, second by Dr. Kelly. Any discussion? Seeing none, let's vote. All in favor? Motion carries 5-0. 9.8, employment separations, presented by Mr. Marcus Chambers, Assistant Superintendent, Curriculum and Instruction, and recommended by the Superintendent for approval. Looking for a motion.
I'll move it.
Motion by Ms. Ivanchek,
I'll second.
second by Dr. Kelly. Any discussion? Seeing none, let's vote. All in favor? Motion carries 5-0. 9.9, employee transfers, presented by Mr. Marcus Chambers, Assistant Superintendent, Curriculum and Instruction, and recommended by the Superintendent for approval. Need a motion.
I'll move it.
Motion by Dr. Kelly,
Second.
Second by Mr. Destin. Any discussion? Seeing none, let's vote. All in favor? Motion carries 5-0. 9.10, Employee Reinstatement, presented by Mr. Marcus Chambers, Assistant Superintendent, Curriculum and Instruction, and recommended by the Superintendent for approval. Looking for a motion.
I'll move it.
Motion by Dr. Kelly.
Second.
Second by Mr. Bryant. Any discussion? Seeing none, let's vote. All in favor? Motion carries 5-0. 9.11, Deleted Employee Termination, presented by Mr. Marcus Chambers. 9.12, Deleted Employee Termination, presented by Mr. Marcus Chambers. 9.13, Deleted Employee Suspension, presented by Mr. Marcus Chambers. 9.14, Employee Suspension, presented by Mr. Marcus Chambers, Assistant Superintendent, Curriculum and Instruction, and recommended by the Superintendent for approval, and looking for a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Destin.
Second.
Second by Mr. Bryant. Any discussion? Seeing none, let's vote. All in favor? Motion carries 5-0. 9.15, Employee Suspension, presented by Mr. Marcus Chambers, Assistant Superintendent, Curriculum and Instruction, and recommended by the Superintendent for approval. Need a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Destin.
I'll second it.
Second by Mrs. Evancheck. Any discussion? Seeing none, let's vote. All in favor? Motion carries 5-0. 9.16, Reinstatement Reimbursement of Sick Leave due to line of duty illness, injury, medical examination, presented by Mr. Marcus Chambers, Assistant Superintendent, Curriculum and Instruction, and recommended by the Superintendent for approval.
And I will move that one.
Motion by Mr. Destin.
Second.
Second by Mr. Bryant. Any discussion? All right, let's vote. All in favor? Motion carries 5-0. 9.17, Leave Without Pay, presented by Mr. Marcus Chambers, Assistant Superintendent, Curriculum and Instruction, and recommended by the Superintendent for approval. Looking for a motion.
I'll move it.
Motion by Ms. Evancheck.
I'll second.
Second by Dr. Kelly. Any discussion? Seeing none, let's vote. All in favor? Motion carries 5-0. And so that takes us through Human Resources. Discussion agenda, there were no items moved. Section 11 will be construction program owners, representatives, business, and Mr. Destin, sir, that would be you, sir. Do you have anything for us?
Chairman, we had our first meeting, or I had my first meeting today, in which we went over, I think, 3 projects that had been completed and talked about a couple of future ones that I think will probably be coming back to the board for consideration, but the meeting went well.
Okay, all right, very good. Very good, sir. All right, so moving on to Section 12, Information Technology Seat Management Contract. 12.1 is CACI Task Order number 2-123 for installation of strand fiber at Baker Fiber main feed box at Baker School. This is an action item, so I'm looking for a recommendation upon the superintendent's recommendation. I need a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Bryant.
Second.
Second by Mr. Destin. Any discussion? Seeing none, let's vote. All in favor? Motion carries 5-0. Section 13, Mr. Attorney, your business, sir.
One item, Mr. Chairman, we have one employee matter that Attorney Rob Larkin's been providing advice to Mr. Chambers and the superintendent on, and we need to have your approval tonight for him to pick that case up for future handling, and it's in the matter of employee PD.
All right, so then
It'll be at the standard rate agreements in place with that law firm Allen Norton and Blue.
All right, so you need a motion?
Yes, sir.
Looking for a motion, board members?
I'll move that we assign this to Mr. Larkin's firm.
All right,
Correct.
motion
Yes,
by
sir.
Mr. Destin.
I'll second it.
Second by Ms. Evancheck. Any discussion? Seeing none, let's vote. All in favor? Motion carries 5-0.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
All right, sir. Superintendent, you had some out-of-state field trips, and you may have some business tonight, ma'am.
Yes, we have. We always have field trips, it seems. We do a lot of going and doing, but I like that because it gives some of our children the opportunity to see things they may never see in their lifetime. So I get really excited when I see them going somewhere where the kids come back and say, I can't believe what I saw. So that's pretty exciting to me. I'll be going on Wednesday to Tallahassee. I have some scheduled appointments with some of our legislators. I just want to talk to them about some things that are concerning me with the upcoming legislative session. A couple of things that could impact our county heavily with the new students that have come into our county and who have missed several weeks of school. And we want to talk a little bit about that to see if there's something we can do. I also would like to request to meet with each of you individually. I think the time has come for us to consider moving forward with a half-cent sales tax. We can't continue doing what we're doing. When we have a boiler go out at Walker and we're having to go buy little space heaters just to get the building warmed, it's time, and it's time for a serious discussion. And I'm going to be making appointments with each of you. I want to see how you feel about it. I don't know what your feelings are, but as far as I'm concerned, we can no longer just ignore this and hope that it will get better, because eventually we're going to go to the cookie jar and there's not going to be anything, and we're going to have a serious problem on our hands. The last thing I would like to say, Mr. Chairman, and I would like to direct this to the community. We have just completed and finished a year and a half of very intense scrutiny. I can assure you that my office, in the first investigation by the state attorney, thousands and thousands of documents from my office, interviewed everyone in my office and outside of my office. And that was completed with no true bill returned. And then there was a second investigation, which went even deeper. No true bill was returned, which means there were no indictments, particularly of me. And I appreciate Dr. Kelly mentioning that, because that is the truth. I know there were some comments there very upset with me because I wouldn't go down and speak to the grand jury without a subpoena. No human being in their right mind does that. And attorneys advised me against that. I did exactly what I was advised to do. Since I was footing the bill for all those guys, I figured I better listen to them. So I just want the public to know I have absolutely no intention of resigning my position, and I want you to know that. I'm here for the next 2 years. The people in this county elected me to do this job, and I will not shirk my responsibility. I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. All right, so moving on to item 15 will be board members' announcements and requests for information. So I'll take it easy on our new folks, and I'll start with Mr. Destin.
Thank you.
Mr. Destin, do you have anything?
I don't have any particular items. I would like to ask Mr. McGinnis, while I'm glad to talk about the half-cent sales tax, wouldn't it be appropriate to do that at a public meeting? Otherwise, we might be running closely up to the line where sunshine law might be telling us not to do that.
Yes, sir, I think you have to be concerned about that and careful in those conversations. If it's a matter of the superintendent simply informing or educating each of you on what she intends to propose or bring forward, that type of education's fine, but there certainly can be no polling of board members or asking you how you're going to be voting or anything like that.
I'm sorry, I didn't speak. I want to show you what the plans are and let you see the direction we think we need to go and give you a chance to review it. They've worked very, very hard on this. I don't know if any of you, I don't know if you as the construction guy have been privy to any of that at this point, but I'm not sure that the rest of this group has had an opportunity to see that. And I do want you to see it, and I want you to see what our needs are. I don't expect you to give me an answer. I just want you to know where we are, and then we want to have a public workshop. In fact, we've discussed that on several occasions where we all come together and then everyone's voice is heard. That I appreciate you clarifying that. I'm sorry.
I
But
didn't
would-
make that
I
clear.
still think I would feel more comfortable doing it at a public meeting.
Okay, well, I have no problem with that.
Since we're at a public meeting, we can ask everybody else what they think. That's all I had.
And of course, for the public, what Mr. Destin is directly speaking to is that the only conversations that we have, other than maybe what we might have had for dinner, are held here at this table in public. And so I think Mr. Destin is suggesting that in a matter of extreme caution, that we have that here at this table so that there could be no indication or any thought, perhaps, that there had been any kind of sunshine law violation.
Well, would you like for me to move forward and schedule that for us?
Okay.
And would you
Sure.
like any of the preliminary information before you get to the meeting?
Well, I know that we did receive some
Mhm.
information at the workshop
Mhm.
regarding the needs
We
that
have some
have.
additional information.
Okay, sure.
Provide that to
And-
us.
Okay,
and-
I'll be glad to do that.
And since we're talking about that, and I hear your questions, what I would like to know about would be, the truth is, there's no denying the needs that
No,
exist in this
no.
county. And those needs are not unique to this county. Other
No.
counties have those needs too.
No, they are not.
But what I would like to know about would be the citizens group that would be coming forward to help lead such an effort. I'd like to have some idea in the workshop of the budget that would be required to successfully manage such a campaign to be successful. We talked about this before, and we know that in 2010, only 6 of 52 precincts voted for the school sales tax in Okaloosa County. Only 6. And so what that tells me is that this is a kind of a campaign, that there has to be such an effort, and it has to be funded. And the public has to not only see our needs, but understand why it would be a good investment for such a sales tax to be passed. And so when you bring that forward, Superintendent, I would like to know about that committee and that effort.
And we have collected the data on all the counties that passed
Right.
a sales tax this year.
Right.
And it was quite
Yes, ma'am.
significant.
I know. And the reality is that that's what has happened in other
They've had
districts.
to.
But
They've had to.
but in 2010, that did not happen
Mm-hmm.
here, and it was a devastating defeat in my mind for our county. And those funds that could have been used to help ameliorate the kinds of things that we know are real needs, we didn't receive those funds, and
And
I
who
just think
funded
it's very
that?
important.
Do you remember who funded that 2010 initiative?
No, ma'am, I don't.
I don't think it was an outside group.
I don't.
I think it wasn't. I think we did.
I think the district
Yeah.
themselves funded that program.
We don't want to do that again.
So I remember it and I worked on it, but
Right.
I don't remember who funded
Right.
that.
And we both worked on one much
Oh,
earlier, I
yes.
think in '94, that was
Yes, we
successful.
did.
All right. But I'm of the thought, just myself, and the other board members will have to make their own way on this, that committee and who we choose or who comes forward to lead that effort will be very, very important, because I think the attorney would advise that the board members really, our role is really very limited in such an effort. Mr. McInnes, is that right?
Yes, sir, you certainly can state your positions as elected officials publicly, but from the standpoint of the actual promotion and if you will, electioneering and all those things, that's typically led by the outside organization and funded by an outside organization.
And so that's why, in my mind, it's so important to have some kind of schematic of that group and who's going to lead that effort and how that's going to work, and whether or not the chambers of commerce are on board and those kinds of things. So, but anyway, that's just my thought about that particular workshop. Other board members, do you have any thoughts about that? the workshop? Tim?
I just have just a couple of comments, and Ms. Jackson alluded to this year 20 school districts either passed a half-cent sales tax or an increase in millage. So obviously the consensus across the state is to make an investment in public education. Also, I would say that back in April, I believe it was, I tried to bring it back to life. I had a very sleepless weekend leading up to that meeting, and it all came down to the fact that I have 4 other school board members that sit beside me, and I did not feel that I had the support of the 4 of those particular board members. And that was one of the reasons I think in 2010 it failed, because there was one board member that was not for it. And I think if we're going to move forward, I would definitely like to see us on a consensus that we're 5-0, that this is the right thing to do. But I also want to remind the public that this shouldn't be about Ms. Jackson. This half-cent sales tax shouldn't be about Ms. Jackson. It should be about our schools. And I have had the privilege to have visited every school in this district, just like all my fellow school board members have. And the need is great out there for the infrastructure needs. So to make this about Ms. Jackson, I think is really not the direction we should go, because this is a tax that would be that would be proposed as from last year was a 10-year tax. So that's the potential of 3 superintendents, 15 new school board members that would have the say on what goes on with that half-cent sales tax, because Ms. Jackson only makes a recommendation. Us 5 are the ones who have to approve it. So if we move forward, I want the general public to know that don't make this about Ms. Jackson or any other person that's within the school district. Let's look at it as an investment in the future of our students, because $250 million, like you added up the other day, is a lot of money that we don't have. And unfortunately, if we don't make some type of investment in the future of our schools, it's only going to get worse. But I encourage the general public to visit your local school, and don't take our word for it. Go see for yourself. Go see for yourself what's going on in those schools. One of our newest schools, Shoal River Middle School, 10 years old, has issues. One of our oldest schools, Plough Elementary, has many issues, but they all have issues. And we just can't keep, and I believe Ms. Ivanchek said the other day, and I believe that this was things that we've all said when we ran for the office, we can't keep putting Band-Aids on these issues. We got to do something. And it has to be up to our community to rally behind the school district, and let's make it an investment. That's the way we need to look at it.
And one more comment. We did a professional poll, as you recall, when we wanted to do this the last time, from a very reputable organization. In that poll, 52% of the people polled were for the sales tax, in spite of anything that might have been going on. That was very important to me. So I believe our citizens are ready to support this. I really do, and we just need to do what we need to do to make it work and make it right. So that's just, I was just interested in that poll.
Right, and let me obviously give the other board members an opportunity if you want to say anything about the workshop that apparently we're going to have.
I think I'll reserve my comments for the workshop after I've seen what is presented.
Sure.
Well, I think that the public does understand the need. I think they do, because we just had a sales tax increase for the county because they understood that need. However, what I hear from citizens is that it's human nature to not want to invest in something when you don't trust the people you're investing in. We, I think, have, for what all kinds of reasons, have lost the confidence in the residents, the voters of our area. I'm hoping now that some things have been settled legally, that we can move on, because we need this to not be an adversarial situation. We have to all move together in the best interest of the students of this district and do what we have to do. So we're going to have to find a way to come together on that and move forward. So I hope that the citizens will look at that. I understand your concern that you have questions about the leadership of this board or the district, whatever it is, but the more time we spend adversarial to this, the less that's happening for our students. And right now, we're stuck, and we need to move forward. And I hope that we can do that very quickly so we can get, time's a wasting, and we need to get that moving. Thank you.
And I appreciate those remarks, Ms. Vanchek. And throughout all of this, that's the one thing that I've tried to keep in the forethought of my mind, is that there are 30,000 students and 4,000 roughly employees that we have to do the right thing for and keep things moving in that direction. No matter all of these other issues, those 30,000 students and those some odd 4,000 employees, we have to do the right thing by.
Because while we're talking, they're living it.
That's right.
Every day in those classrooms. So I just hope we can just move forward and get the group and the community to help us do that. I don't think the district financially can move with that. It's very expensive, what I understand, to put that on a ballot. So we're going to need our citizens to help us band together to get that done. So I think we need to move forward, whether it takes a workshop or individual meetings, whatever. I just think we need to decide what is the best way to do it so that we can you know, show the public that we want to do the work we need to do the right thing.
I think there is a substantial cost to putting it out there
Yes.
in a non-election year, which is a concern of people who talk to me.
$150,000.
Is that what it is? Okay. What if it's in an election year? If we have to wait that long, is there a cost there?
No.
Add it to the ballot.
You can just add
Add it to the
Okay.
ballot.
But if we wait 2 years to get it on a ballot, then vote, then start implementing it, we're not going to start seeing, you know, the fruit of our labor there very
Correct.
quickly.
Correct.
Meanwhile, those boilers and all that, the heat, it's not working.
And for me, the risk of that is that we now have waited 8 years since the last time that we put this on the ballot. And should we not be successful the next time we put this on the ballot, I don't think we can stand 8 years more.
And-
We need to
and
be sure when we put it out there, or pretty confident that we are moving in that right direction and that we have that backing when we put it out there,
That's right.
is my thought.
That's right.
And that's a concern for me because you wear out those that you go to for support. And if they've already turned you down, and if they turn down this time, they won't stand for it again.
Exactly.
So we have to be very cautious. The timing has to be perfect.
All right. Okay, so, you got a long time there, Mr. Desson, on yours.
I tell you what, that's the most I've ever had.
All right, Mr. Bryant, your turn, sir.
Just a couple of things. First of all, I want to wish everybody a happy holiday, Merry Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever holiday that you observe. I wish you all the very best. Also, I just want to put a shout out to our risk management department. As y'all know, we had open enrollment last month, and Russ and his team, I feel just by the observations that I witnessed, did a very good job of trying to get the message out. And again, I just wanted to say thank you to our risk management department. We are very fortunate to have Russ leading that team, and I think they've done a good job of getting the message out for for those employees who need to better understand their health benefits.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Bryant. Dr. Kelly?
Well, I just wanted to say again that I had the privilege of going to the training for new school board members in Tampa, and I actually attended about 7 or 8 sessions beyond the required ethics training. And if anybody wants a rundown of what those involved, I'd be happy to share those with you. I wanted to also acknowledge a Ruckle student, Anna Keem, for winning the district's Art in the Capitol contest, and she'll be attending the spring legislative session, the kickoff day, with our representative Mel Ponder, because her artwork and those of all the other district winners will be hanging there in the Capitol for the spring session. And just a reiteration of thank you to all those of you who've helped make my transition into this role go so smoothly, particularly Jan and Mary and others of you who have called and sent good information my way. Thank you very much. And happy holidays. And just a reminder to be safer than normal, because students are out and they'll be in places where we don't normally find them. So just be cautious, and let's have a safe and happy holiday season.
Okay.
All right, Ms. Van Schaik.
Yes. Well, I want to congratulate my Baker boys. They came home with the runner-up trophy for the 1A state football. Did a fantastic job. I'm so proud of those guys, and Coach Brunson and his team of coaches. They have a great program going on up at Baker. This is the 4th trip to the Final Four for that school. And this senior class, this group of young men that's a senior class, they have 39 wins and only 2 losses in the last 3 years of their high school. I mean, that's phenomenal. Baker's not the largest school, but they really come together and they show what true teamwork is. And again, I congratulate those students and Coach Brunson and Mr. Martello and his staff and everybody there at Baker for what they've done. I want to announce that tomorrow I'll be attending my first meeting. I was elected to be the representative from the board for the Public Schools Foundation, and what I'm seeing for their agenda, some exciting things happening tomorrow with the foundation. I'm eager to get to that meeting and see what's going on with that. And just like Dr. Kelly, want to thank everyone. She and I just finishing our first board meeting. I want you to know that I'm honored to be here. I am a proud product of this district, and I'm so grateful to those who voted me in, and am excited to be here. And the transition in has been so great with Mary and Ms. Scallon, Mr. Chambers. Everybody has been wonderful, and I appreciate that because you know, it's quite daunting to make that switch. But thank you, and happy holidays, everybody.
All right, and I'll save my remarks for adjournment. Is there anyone else that would like to address the school board this evening? Mr. Attorney, we got it all covered?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Y'all heard me ask. Okay. Merry Christmas, and we're adjourned.